Hello everyone, I'm Mr. Furlong, and today we're talking reaction rates and energy. In order for any chemical reaction to get going, there has to be a small amount of energy to get that started. This energy is known as activation energy. So think of that as the energy to activate or to start a chemical reaction. Now this energy could be very little, could be just the heat in the room that can cause a reaction to take place. But sometimes we might have to add quite a bit of energy in order to get that chemical reaction to take place. Sometimes when reactions take place, things happen with the heat. And so there are some reactions called endothermic reactions. Here, more energy is being absorbed by the molecules than it's releasing. And so the temperature overall begins to decrease. So this almost seems like the opposite. For instance, here on our graph, and you want to make this graph in your notes, if molecules A and B make molecule C, and molecules A and B have very little energy, so notice on our scale it's way down here, but then C is way up here, it looks like it has more energy, and certainly it gained energy, but it got that energy from the surrounding air, and so it makes it feel cooler because the surrounding air has less energy. If you've ever used an ice pack before, where you take that ice pack and you break it open and it gets colder, that's an endothermic reaction. It's because those molecules inside that ice pack are absorbing energy from the surrounding area, and it makes it feel colder. Just the opposite of that is an exothermic reaction. So in an exothermic reaction, the beginning molecules A and B might be way up here on the energy scale, but when the resulting product, it loses energy. Now when it loses energy, the temperature increases because it's losing energy to the surrounding area. Again, this seems almost backwards, doesn't it? It loses energy, but the temperature goes up. Well, the temperature is going up because it's releasing that energy, it's releasing that heat energy to the surrounding area. So again, maybe you've used these hand warmers before, where you break something open and it gets warm. That's an exothermic reaction taking place. Now, how fast chemical reactions take place can be controlled by a variety of things. So we can measure the rate of reaction, which simply tells us the speed at which the reactants are being consumed and the products being produced in that chemical reaction. So a variety of things can affect this, and we're going to be doing a lab on this later on in class. One of them is temperature. The greater the temperature, the reactions can occur faster. If it's colder out, for instance, the temperatures will decrease. We see this in humans. In our bodies, we have all these chemical reactions take place. If our body temperature gets too low, say around 92, 93 degrees Fahrenheit, that's enough to kill us. Our chemical reactions in our cells goes way down, and it can't support keeping that cell alive. Another factor is the concentration. In other words, how much reactants do you have? The more reactants that you have, the faster the chemical reaction can take place. A third type is surface area. The bigger the surface area, the faster the reaction can take place because there's more area for the reactions to occur on. Agitation. So in other words, if we stir a test tube, that can cause those molecules to move a little bit faster, and that'll increase the rate of the chemical reaction. The pressure that it's under. So if we increase the pressure, that's going to increase the number of collisions between these molecules, and that will also increase the rate of the reactions. You can add a catalyst to some substances. Now, a catalyst is anything that speeds up a chemical reaction. The neat thing about these catalysts is that they're not affected by the reaction, so they can be used over and over and over again. In us, we have enzymes in our cells that help us to allow for many chemical reactions to occur. We can also have inhibitors. An inhibitor is a substance that slows down a chemical reaction. So sometimes we might want to have a chemical reaction occur, but we don't want to have it too fast. So we can add inhibitors that will keep that reaction at a slower rate. We're going to be taking a look at some of these factors in the lab, and I can't wait to see you then.